and welcome to India Bet. Today we're going to look at Thursday's IPL game between the Delhi Devils and the Royal Challengers Bangalore. Now, the RCB need to win this game. You know, losing to Mumbai Indians was pretty much, almost fatal on Monday. They're a team that just keeps hitting big scores, but they just let it go. They throw games away. They've been so disappointing this season. I confess that I'm a big fan of the Challengers. They've got lovely players like Chris Gale in the squad. Virat Kohli I love to watch, but their fielding has just let them down time and time again. It's their bowling also it just hasn't been as strong as it was expected pre-season. Nevertheless, the bookies can't call this one. Almost all the sort of major online bookies, Bet365, Ladbrokes, William Hill, all 10 to 11 either side. If you go on the exchanges, you'll find it 19 to 20 either side. No one can choose between these two teams. Personally, I can. Delhi Daredevils, surely that's a better 10 to 11. The Royal Challengers, every time they've got a pressure game, just fail to deliver. Now we know that Delhi's, they've reached the playoff finals by beating the Kings 11 on Tuesday, but still, they're a quality outfit. They're going to want to keep that momentum going. The way you do well in the playoffs is just by going in there, steamrolling, scoring runs with your players brimming with confidence. You don't want to lose lose games towards the end of the season. Yeah, they might rest a few players, but the RCB, they seem to love throwing games away. At the end of their innings against Mumbai, they were slogging away and they got up to 173. We all thought they'd just done enough, but and they get the early wickets against Mumbai and then they just capitulate. It's poor. The RCB have just been poor this season. I would not want to back them against a Delhi team that have time and time again come out and shown their class. They have been the class team this season. Why they're 10 to 11 to beat RCB, who have been poor. I mean, we've got Virender Sehwag at 11 to 4 with Bet Victor to top score for Delhi. It's not a bad price. The RCB bowlers haven't been up to much. Let's be fair. And if he sits in as an opener, I think he should get some runs alongside Warner again, who's been playing very well. Whereas actually the overseas players, now that KP have gone, haven't been doing much. I wouldn't go anywhere near Jai Wardner at 4 to 1 with Sky Bet. I think Ross Taylor's just off the map completely. It's been a huge disappointment this season. What Delhi have relied upon is actually homegrown players who've been playing very well. I'd love to see Sehwag find a bit of form again. Gale, obviously, we all love him. Doesn't matter how poor the outfield is at the Kotler on Thursday. He'll be hitting boundaries. He doesn't need a pitch. He just strove the rope. Obviously 2 to 1 with Ladbrokes, probably a bit short. And if Gale goes, that 2 to 1 might as well be RCB on the game, because if Gale goes early, RCB just will have the potential to collapse. Virat Kohli, I'd love to see him hit some runs, and I think 4 to 1 Paddy Power on Virat Kohli is a good bet on him top scoring for the RCB. But then again, you're taking on the man, you're taking on Chris Gale, and that's very difficult to do. In terms of number of runs scored, it will be interesting to see how the bookies price this up, because if they open them really high, I'd be very happy to sell these two teams because they're going to be cagey. There's a lot of pressure on. In games where there's a lot of pressure, especially for the Challengers, people can capitulate under pressure. People can fail under pressure, and especially if Delhi have rested a couple of players, we could see some small scores here, and especially at the Kotler where we all know it's not a big one for scoring huge runs. I could well be selling runs on Thursday. Anyway, it should be a cracker, and I am a Bangalore fan, so I'm going to be cheering them on tomorrow. But whether I'll have a bet on them, I think that's a completely different matter. I think Delhi probably is the place to put the money. It should be a cracker. I can't wait. I mean, we absolutely treated to some classic games that both on Wednesday and Thursday. It's really this is the business end of the tournament. If RCB are going to be there in the playoffs, if RCB want to win this tournament, if they have any intent, well, tomorrow's the day to step up. Bring it on. Enjoy the game, and check back at India Bet soon for more betting previews, odds and scores. Cheers.